Coming to you from deep within the heart of Texas in our secret underground bunkers, it's the New Republic Radio Show. Welcome everybody to the New Republic Friday Show. I'm your host, Keith Clark, and we're going to be bringing you quite a few things today. However, today is a really tragic day. As many of you know, the Denver shooting happened last night at the showing of the Batman movie, and I think we're all a bit heavy-hearted about this whole situation. Obviously, a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people experienced a very horrible situation. And I know that there's a lot of questions on a lot of people's minds. This is just kind of an unsettling situation just because it happened at a movie theater and a lot of people go to movies all the time. It's for some people, it's the place. It's a good place. You know, we have memories going back all the way to childhood. We think about all the good times that we've had there. We think about the good movies that we've seen. And to witness something like this on this scale is just both shocking and it's just horribly saddening because it's something that, like I say, a movies touch everyone in so many different ways, and unfortunately, in this particular situation, it touched some people very tragically. But there's a lot of questions that are all kind of tied to this, and I'm going to try my best to not make this political as best I can. Sure, there's lines of political thoughts and ideas that no matter what kind of go through it, but I don't really want to talk about Republic, Democrat, liberal, or conservative about it. A lot of times we put ourselves in situations like this. For instance, a theater. It's a small enclosed room with very minimal entrances and exits. We go to churches. We get on buses, trains, even restaurants. And ultimately, we are at the mercy of someone who would do something like this. And I say most of us are. Me, myself, that's the reason why this is the reason why I like concealed carry, because I don't ever want to be at the mercy of somebody else. I don't want my loved ones to be at the mercy of someone else. And I don't want my friends. And if I can keep this from happening, then I want to do something to stop it. You know, and there's a lot of questions about this. Is like, how can this guy have so many guns? He had body armor, all kinds of things like that. But my biggest question is why nobody in that entire theater had a concealed carry. There was even military personnel there that some of them were shot. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, come on, Keith. I mean, it's a theater. Well, you know, I'm not going to carry my gun to the theater. Well, I mean, they make them pretty small these days. You know, but especially if you're a father figure or a father out there, how can you not carry your gun to the movie theater? If you're a mom, I can ask the same question if you have children. Because, you know, we're all here. We all have different roles, and some of those roles are protectors, especially of our children. And even if you think about it, in your hierarchy of friends and friendships, there's always at least one protector among all your friends. And he's the guy or he's the girl, or rather she's the girl, that when things get bad, they step up and they take care of it or they stop it. And as much as my heart goes out to all these folks, I'm just saddened also that there wasn't somebody in this situation that could have done that. I know that there was many people, for instance, that were running. Like one lady talked about the fact that she was running away and she saw him walking up the stairs while he was shooting. And my question is not to her necessarily, but my question is if he was allowing people to get behind him, why did no one grab him? Why did nobody jump on him from the back? I would never expect anybody to do it from the front. You know, it seems like we've got the drill down as far as it goes, like with airplane terrorism. You know, you see the reports all the time where a terrorist or somebody starts acting up in an airplane, and then, you know, hey, a bunch of guys and gals jump on them and they tackle them and, you know, beat them up or whatever, tie them up. It doesn't, you know, but they take care of the situation. In other situations, it seems like we don't have that. And I don't know if it's just the thought that, you know, in a plane, people don't feel like they can get away. Maybe that's what it is. And that fight or flight turns into fight. But, you know, I hope these things never happen again. I hope nothing like this happens again. But is it ever our right to stop, you know, once we're safe and we can do something about it? You know, shouldn't we try to help others? I don't know. And I wasn't there. And, you know, maybe I wouldn't have done anything. I don't know. I have to think that I would. But, you know, maybe not. I don't know. I've been in rough situations like that, and I think that I do a good job of thinking on my feet. This all goes back to, again, another question that I have is, you know, again, why nobody had a concealed carry? Why nobody was carrying a gun that they could have taken this guy out? Yeah, he was wearing body armor, but body armor does not cover your entire body, and it also does not stop the pain when you get shot with, you know, a round. Sure, if you know, I wouldn't recommend you shooting a 9mm, but a lot of people out there have 45s and 40 cal, which can oftentimes do a lot more damage to body armor. And even if they don't do the damage to the body armor, it incapacitates the person because you break ribs, you knock the breath out of them, you know, and at that point, other people can help and do things. So I don't know. You know, a lot of this is going to come out in the news, and you're going to see a lot of this go down. There's going to be tons of gun control calls. There's going to be people calling for no violence in movies. There's going to be people calling for no violence in comic books. And I don't know. I hear all of this restriction, and I've got to admit, it kind of hits me the wrong way. My whole thing is, you know, Colorado technically has an open carry policy, but nobody uses it. But I can't help but feel that if there was a bunch of open carry folks in Colorado in that theater last night, this all would have went down a whole different way. Plus, on top of that, again, would it have even happened? Because of the thought process of somebody, even if they're heavily armed with body armor. I mean, they're like, well, okay, maybe I might kill one or two people, but then I'm going to get, you know, taken out by a hail of gunshots. I don't know. And we won't know. And I don't know if we'll ever know. It still makes me think. It makes me wonder, you know, how that would have really changed and how that would have went down. Because in a lot of places, I mean, for instance, even on the military base here in Texas, you know, we had that shooting with Sergeant Hassan. And I hate to really call him Sergeant, but, you know, that's whatever. But the thing is he was on a military base, and he still took out a lot of people before anything happened. And there's always cases like that could go down. But in a movie theater, I mean, there's not really a lot of things you can do. I mean, you know it's going down. You see somebody shooting at you, you take your gun out and you shoot back. That's, you know, a lot more simplistic, but that's the same. I feel the same way when I go to a movie theater. It kind of freaks me out because I'm the type of person, when I go into any room, I check all exits. I check all entrances, all possible exits. I think about those things, and not just for myself, but for the people that I'm with. And honestly, for the people in the restaurant, the movie theater, the church, the bus, whatever I'm on, I that's just something that I just automatically think about. I think about where all the people are at, where everybody's at all the time, and where I'm at in relation to all that. And I have a tendency to sit with my back towards the wall because, I don't want for something to go down and me to not know about it until everybody else is reacting. Oftentimes, it's almost too late. If you're reacting to what everybody else is reacting to, a whole bunch has happened. I just think, if that would have happened in a theater in Texas, I just think the outcome would have been a lot different. I don't even know if it would have happened just because so many people out there know that, in Texas there's a lot of concealed carry people, and walking into any random movie theater, you're bound to meet one of them or quite a few of them. And the concealed carry laws in Texas are very strict, and you have to be a good shot in order to have it. So, the chances of you surviving a situation like that are very slim. But in all this horrible, tragic stuff, I know a lot of you are asking the hard questions, because this could have happened to anybody, and this kind of stuff happens all the time. There's always shootings going on all over every country. These type of things happen. In fact, one of the girls that was shot last night, she survived a shooting in a mall in Vancouver, and I don't know how she ended up in Colorado, but I mean, it's a mobile world now. But unfortunately, she ended up being killed in the theater in Colorado after surviving a mall attack in Vancouver, Canada. But a lot of people right now, I know, they're asking, where was God in this situation? You always hear people ask it, why would God let stuff like this happen? Anytime that you ask, where was God? I think that he's going to ask, well, where were you? Because God gives us the ability to do things. He gives the ability to make choices. Yes, God is omniscient. However, he doesn't force you to make choices. He doesn't force everything to happen the way that it happens. We all have choices. We can make the choice to eat food, or we can make the choice not to and die. He gives us the ability to fight back. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, because they look to things like the military and the police as protection. But that's my question, is where, you're worrying about where was God. Well, where was the military and where was the police? Where were they? That's the thing, is you can't be looking to somebody else for protection. You can't rely on somebody else for protection. I'm hoping that if anything comes out of this good, I hope that, people will realize that it's a tough world. A lot of bad things are happening. And I have to be a little bit responsible for myself. Whether it be to get a concealed carry permit, or whether it be to learn a little bit of defensive training, whatever that is. Even if it's just to sit there and think, hey, I need to make sure when I go into weird situations that I know where the exits are. Whatever that is. And I'm not talking about children here. I'm talking about adults. But God gives us the ability to do whatever we want. I mean, if we want to learn how to protect ourselves, if we want to learn how to carry a gun and shoot well, he gives us that ability. But not everybody chooses to do it. God made a perfect world. We're the ones that ruined it. And if we're always looking to somebody else, if we're looking to the government or the military or the police to fix things, we need to realize that doesn't work all the time. Sometimes sometimes it works out okay. You see something shady going down, you call the police, and 15 minutes later they get there and take care of it. But the problem is a lot of things can happen in 15 minutes. You know, look at Katrina. Even though they knew for weeks that this was going down, look at how long it actually took them to get anything really going. So you can't be looking to your military, your government, your police to take care of every little thing in your life. You have to be responsible. And I'm not trying to say that these people in this particular theater are irresponsible. I'm just making a point that this just brings up that thought process. It brings up this subject that we can't be worried about the fact that, hey, I want to live my life and I don't want to worry about guns. I don't want to worry about violence. I don't want to worry about any of that. That's the police's job. That's the military job. I want them to take care of it. You can't, not in this day and age, you can't do that any longer. This is not the 50s. We can't leave our doors unlocked at night. We can't leave our cars unlocked at night. And here's the thing. If you are the type of person that is just like, you know, hey, give it to God or let the military, the police worry about it. Well, then if you're leaving your doors unlocked at night, then you know what? I'll shake your hand for living it out, living what you're saying that you're doing. But I bet you you're not. I bet you're locking your doors. I bet you have an alarm on your car or on your house. I bet you keep those type of things safe and locked up. You know, if that's the case, you're not relying on the military. You're not relying on the police. You're not relying on the government. You're relying on yourself. And that's great. I mean, you deserve a handshake, a high five, a fist bump, whatever. You know, you deserve that if you're taking care of yourself. But that's the thing. You are, but not everybody is. You are in that situation, but are you in every situation? You should be. And this is a perfect example of it. All I'm basically doing is I'm asking for you folks to think about this and take this as a learning opportunity. It's a horrible, terrible, tragic thing, and we need to pray and we need to think. And if you don't pray, you need to think positive thoughts for those people. And we need to be there for them, and we need to do what we can, you know, if we can help them out in any kind of way. If we need to send money, that's fine. If we need to volunteer, that's fine. But we also need to think about ourselves. And we need to think about the fact that there's not always a policeman there. And God bless them, they do their best. But they can't be everywhere at the same time. And I think just like God does sometimes, I think he expects it to come down to us, to come down to me and you. You know, we are the ones that have to make something happen. And just like we're responsible for our lives, you know, we have to make a choice to come to God. I think he also expects us sometimes to learn how to run fast, or learn how to shoot good, or just learn how to avoid danger when we're with our family and friends. I mean, it's not his job to stand there with a whistle and every time you get into a questionable situation, blow it. He's not there to hold your hand in every single situation and let you walk around like a mindless idiot. Again, no comparison to the folks in Denver. I'm just talking in general. I know many of you will have comments and questions on this particular topic. Give me a call, 979-31-TALK-6. 979-31-TALK-6. Well, I want to move on to a couple other subjects. It's just, you know, I don't want to do an entire show over this horrible incident. Not that it doesn't deserve it, but it's just, you know, I just got to think about something else. It's just a bad thing to keep harping on. Some of the things in the news now that I've had over the past couple of days. NPR hires lobbyists, uses your money to ask Congress for more money. Now this, I really don't understand, because NPR, you know, is supposed to be a very neutral news organization. But honestly, if you read 99% of their stuff is all left-leaning stuff. So it's almost like the government is basically paying NPR to stay in business. They're paying all their salaries, you know, basically paying for news news stories that are all left leaning and left biased. So my question is why do they get any funding? Because in this day and age when basically the government has no money, we need to do something about that. I mean, NPR need to go out and find their own funding, because to have a particular news organization that is basically a sponsor for the government, or you could just say the government is a sponsor for them. I mean, obviously, everything that they can do, that they can make the government look good in any way, shape, or form, they're going to obviously do. Are they going to bite the hand that feeds them? No, I don't think so. So my question is why? And why do you need a news organization that can't make it on its own? If it can't make money of its own validity, then what's the point of it? It's obviously not very good. I mean, if people aren't listening to it, if people aren't watching it, if they're not reading it, then why keep it going? I don't know. I've always wondered about NPR. Rich getting poorer, paying more taxes. Wow, that's something that the liberals don't want to talk about. Yeah, you know what? The economy's hurting everybody. And the more taxes that you pay, the more broke you are. So, what are you going to do? But it looks like the trickle-down poverty is definitely working. So, I don't know. Huge protest against austerity cuts erupt in Spain. Yeah, more of that. And that's going to just get worse. As I've been talking before, Spain has had so many programs and so much stuff where they basically allowed the government to spend ridiculously, and they don't have the money to cover it. They've had to really cut back. And now, of course, everybody's used to free everything, free healthcare, free everything under the sun. And now that the government's cutting back, of course, they're upset about it. And of course, they, riots in the streets, burning cars, all this fun stuff. Yeah, that's basically what's going to be coming to America not too long, because we can't afford what we're doing. And I hate to say it, but just like this, when people are spoiled and they're used to a certain type of lifestyle, they don't want to give it up. FAA has authorized 106 government entities to fly domestic drones. Well, that's just what we need. More drones flying around, basically spying on us. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the America I grew up in. I really long for the 80s. And some parts of me just can't believe that, but it's just the truth. ABC News already linking Tea Party. Backtracks. Yeah. ABC News, I don't understand how anybody can watch anything from ABC. They are the worst. I mean, they tainted all the Trayvon Martin stuff. There was something a week or two back that they had to backtrack right away. I don't remember. I mean, they link everything. Everything's racist. Everything's Tea Party. Everything's right wing. This and that. I mean, they don't even bother. It's just as soon as the news comes out, they just somehow magically link it to their favorite. Whoever they want to take down next. CNN, Piers Morgan calls for gun control. Why does that not surprise me? And again, folks, we're going to be getting a lot of this. Every time these incidences go down, that's just what these people do, And my question is instead of gun control, instead of outlawing guns, instead of outlawing movies, instead of outlawing comic books, why don't we allow more controlled gun ownership? For instance, concealed carry. Why don't we allow more of that? Then at that point, you don't have to worry about things like this happening. I mean, there's two ways you can go at it. I mean, you can either cut it all out, and it's obviously still going to happen because that's just what happens. Or you can at least, You know that if you take all the guns away, the only people that are going to have it are going to be these scary idiots, okay? So you can either take it all away, or you can allow more reasonable control, basically, of ownership, for instance, through concealed carries or laws that allow people to legally carry and own firearms. At least at that point, people have a fighting chance. If you take them all away, well, then it just makes them like sheep at the slaughter. I mean, they can't do anything. A rock does not do well against a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun. Don't die in 2013. Confiscatory 55% death tax set to take effect. Well, thank you, Democrats. Thank you, Mr. Obama. Basically, all the hard work that I do all my life doesn't mean anything because you're going to take 55% of it away as soon as I die. Basically, screw my children. Screw any of my heirs. Tough luck. I don't get this. I don't understand it. This is basically what the problem with Rome was the fact that when Rome ran out of money, what they started doing was they started taking more and more of people's property through death taxes. And eventually, it became a 100% death tax. It took a while, just like it's taken here, but eventually it took 100% death tax. And once it did, whenever the emperor needed a new palace or a new project, what he would do was he would go out and he would find a nice rich nobleman that had about the money that he needed, or if he happened to have a nice estate that he just wanted, he would go out and have him killed, literally. Make up a charge. I think towards the end they didn't even bother. He just said, hey, kill him. Well, of course, once he died, the death tax took place, and then they just marched right in, and either took it over as a palace or took everything, sold it, turned it into treasure. But yeah, I just do not get this. If a person or a family, if they work all their life, for an entire generation to build wealth so that their following generations can have means and can have a good life, why does the government even need 55% of it? I don't think that the government should get any of it because you work your entire life paying taxes. That's basically, like, for instance, most people in this particular situation, they're going to be paying 30, 40, 50% in taxes while they're living, and then they're going to get hit with a 55%, another 55% on top of that after they die. So, I mean, this just doesn't make sense at all. I mean, where is the American dream? The American dream is dying. It's being killed. It's being killed with a death tax. I don't know, but we got to do something, because just the idea of the American dream is being killed a little bit slowly every day. I mean, they're taking your ability and my ability to follow the American dream. They're taking it away a little bit every day. And, we got to get people to wake up. Hopefully they will, and maybe we can start doing something about this. But talking about, all these bad things, especially like with the Denver stuff, tragedy can't always be stopped. In your life, it can't always be changed, but it can be curbed. And what I mean by that is we need to focus on teaching our loved ones and each other the important stuff in life. A lot of people are going to say that the Batman movie was the cause of this. And, that's the reason why this guy snapped and went off the deep end. I don't personally say that, hey, we need to start, stopping movies and stuff like that. We can't, I'm not saying we need to take out the violence and all that stuff. But I do say that we need to start teaching our children and teaching our loved ones that, that's fantasy. And there's a difference. And even that it is fantasy, we can't constantly put ourselves in that fantasy world and always running away to it. We have to be grounded in life. we have to ground ourselves in life. And we have to teach ourselves and others this, that there is important things in this world. And those important things, just like you guys have heard me say it over and over again, it's family and it's friends. And we need to be grounded in that. Sure, we can have our little fantasy things and we can take a break from reality here and there and go read our books and watch our movies, play our games or whatever, whatever it is that you do. And that's fine. But you can't take it that seriously. And you can't live it as part of your life. And what I mean is, like, you can't be so deep into it that that's all you talk about and that's all you think about. Because once you get to that point, you need to realize that, hey, this is starting to color aspects of my life. And that can be dangerous. And sure, there's tons of people that can handle it. And I'm not saying that everybody that does that is going to go off the deep end. But I am saying that, there's more to life than that. So if you happen to get yourself into that situation, or somebody in that situation, tap them on the shoulder or just tell yourself, look, man, let me back away from this for a little bit. I want to enjoy the real nice things in life. We got to help loved ones. We got to be there for each other. We got to teach them, we got to teach our children, not to get into bad situations. We need to teach our children that, hey, and I mean, this can just be talking about fire too. But, we need to tell them, look, every time you go to a movie theater, if you're at a church, if you're on a bus or any kind of a restaurant, if I'm not with you, make sure that you always look for the fire exit. Make sure that you know where that's at. Yeah, sure. I mean, you might be telling them verbally that it's for a fire, but you and I both know that exit can be used for a lot of different things. And when anything bad happens, we all want those children to be out of there and safe. But make sure, and, even at home, you need to make sure you're teaching these kids that, if there's a fire, this is what I want you to do, and this is where I want you to meet me. Because that fire drill can be used for a whole bunch of different things. I'm a little bit scared because if I ever have kids, I don't want to scare them to death. I don't want to scar them and make them realize what a horrible, horrible world it is too early. Because, I want them to have a little bit of innocence and enjoy life when they're young. But we can protect our children and we can kind of protect them from the reality that we know is there. But we can always cloak it in vague ideas and thoughts and things like fires and tornado drills. But we need to make sure that we're doing it. And if we haven't done it in a long time, we need to, I'm hoping this will remind you to maybe do it tomorrow. Maybe Sunday when everybody's sitting down, But teach them to be strong and teach them to lead, not to be led. Teach them to come up with the ideas, not to be given ideas. Everybody can't lead, but if you live your life as if you're a leader, then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be fed lies. You're not going to be fed just dark garbage that people just don't need. You'll run into it, but you'll know how to filter it. And I don't know what this guy's problem was. It might be the fact that, he went through some stuff like that. He may have been on some kind of antidepressant. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe you never will. But who cares about him? What we care about is our loved ones and our family. So, if you have nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever, just make sure that you're focused on the important things. You teach them. Teach them how to be safe and teach them how to live a wonderful, sweet life. And if they're old enough, teach them about our government. Teach them about our new republic. Teach them about a brighter tomorrow and a better yesterday. We can't always control everything in our life. But if we put out our best and our brightest and our strongest efforts, then we're sure a heck of a lot better off than if we didn't. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. Be safe. I'm your host, Keith Clark.
Leave this part of yourself behind. I've given you back to yourself. So should you make the change, or could you right them wrongs? For I cannot replace where I'm going, where I'm going, love. So you're angry with me. What could be better, my love? Have most of everything for yourself. Hateful and deserved. Charlie Manson's eyes are looking through you back to myself. So should I act my age, or should I just not be